Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We're continuing our Best of 2022 series with the top 10 board game art of 2022. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. And for those of you already subscribed, thank you so much for the continuous support. Let's talk about the best board game artwork from 2022. Now, first off is number 10, Caper Europe, with artist Josh Emmerich bringing to life the world of thieves. You're going to be assembling your crew, sending them out to different locations, and pulling off the ultimate heist using a variety of gear. Now, this game in particular has a lot of heavy lifting done by the graphic design. Everything is clear, concise, and in the traditional Keymaster fashion, it's so easy to get going and playing. But the artwork here is not only kooky and interesting, but it tells a story every time you play a card. These thieves have their own baggage that they're bringing with them. The locations are interesting takes on known places in our real world, and the gear makes sense in this world as well. They're funny takes on this traditional thief or spy gear that you may see in something like cartoons, and they weave an entire story. I love this so much. In addition, because of this graphic design, putting that information on the top and leaving lots of room for the art, every time you play a card in this game, that's the only card you're playing that turn, and it takes the entire stage. You put out your thief, everybody looks at it, and that becomes the next piece in this tapestry that you're weaving of your story of your heist. I love the entire experience of Caper Europe, and I think that the artwork is perfect in the game. Your thief, your gear, your location, and the story that you have now created. I love this one. That is Caper Europe, my number 10. My number 9 goes to Batman Everybody Lies. We have our artist here with two artists, Hannah Kuik and Maciej Szyminski. These two artists have brought to life the Batman universe, but in the detective style. This is a detective game where you are going to be playing as somebody investigating in Gotham City, and you have some sort of scenario with lots of questions that you're going to be researching the answers for. It uses a computer where you're going to potentially bring out these different news articles and works, but you're also going to be using your intuition and logic to make decisions as you travel around Gotham City. And the entire premise of this game is that you are a detective in this bizarre universe of Batman. So you're going to be experiencing all of the different rogues that the entire Batman series can provide, but you're not sure exactly who you're going to interact with. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding this scenario that you found yourself in. And that being said, it feels that you are in a comic book the entire time. The artwork is stunning, it's consistent, and it's everywhere, and I love that so much. From the newspapers that you'll be reading to the different cards, and the best thing that this one introduces into the detective line of games is they have now a scene deck. Every time that you reach a certain moment, you are going to be told to pull a card from a scene. The scene deck here, and I'm not going to show you any of these pictures, of course, but you'll pick out the specific card, and that's going to give you some visual context for the location or the scenario that's happening in front of you. I love this so much. It just brings out the world of detective and Batman, of course, and I want to see this in more games, particularly in the detective line. I love this concept of the scene deck, and I think that when I play this, it feels that I'm in that comic universe. That is Batman Everybody Lies, my number 9. My number 8 goes to So You've Been Eaten, with artist Kwanchai Moria giving it a unique take on the digestive tract of an alien beast. In this game, you play as either a miner going into the digestive system of a creature, trying to find minerals and use tools along the way to do so, or you play as the beast, and it's your job to digest this miner and hopefully get some good nutrients from him. Kwanchai Moria's take on this entire system, though, puts you in the perspective of one of these beings. You either have this heads-up display of the miner and you're able to allocate your actions on it, or you play as the beast who is putting out the different pieces of their digestive tract out into that main game board. I love the colors that are used in this game because it makes this terrible experience feel like something that you want to explore. I've seen enough medical journals in my time where it's not something I want to look at more, but Kwanchai Moria does an awesome job of making this something that is attractive and enticing and brings out the theme of this exploration. The germs are cute, the beast feels mysterious and terrifying while being this otherworldly presence. You're not actually able to see what the entire beast looks like just from the inside. The entire iconography makes sense. The little cute icons for the creatures are also thematic and fun. I think the entire production here is wonderful, and I'd love to see more games with this tone and style that are brought throughout the entire experience. I think the deluxe edition is awesome. You've got additional component containers that are also going to feature the entire artwork from the game, so it's one that I love in general for the art aspect. That is my number 8, So You've Been Eaten. My number 7 goes to Endless Winter Paleo-Americans. This is artwork by Mihajlo Dimitrievski and Yoma. These two have combined their efforts in order to create a landscape experience that uses this white space, the entire snowy background, to make the rest of the color pop. I love this take on Paleo-Americans as you play as a community trying to develop your culture, spread out your influence, and populate the area to gather resources and survive through these harsh winters. Now, the board itself is that bright white, and if you use the playmat, it's just even more integrated into this white playmat, but every other color is going to pop on this white surface. You have these colors of deep reds and browns that represent the fire that you're using to stay warm during this time, and then you have vegetation that you'll also be able to explore through the landscape. There are so many unique cards in this game as well, through the culture cards, and then sets of these identical character cards that you can add to your deck, but you'll be constantly adding new features, and it feels awesome when you're able to get one of those unique culture cards into your deck, and every time you play it, it does something that makes thematic sense to the action that you're taking inside of the game. Overall, the entire package is one that you are going to be engrossed in. You're holding your hands, you're using your different cards to actually interact with the board, you're populating this area that's full of vegetation, and to top it off, there's actually a soundtrack that is included with this game as well. There's a link that I'll leave in the description below that you can go check out on YouTube to hear what sort of sounds are going to be played while you're engrossing yourself in this game. And for me, artwork is not just the physical things that you can see, but also everything that surrounds the game, whether it be narration or if it's going to be audio, or in this case, an actual soundtrack that's going to be played accompanying the entire production. I think the production of Endless Winter is amazing, and I think that the artwork in tandem with the soundtrack is one that's going to keep you coming back to playing it. So that is Endless Winter, my number 7. My number 6 goes to Resist, art by Albert Montez. This has you playing as the Spanish Marquis who are trying to recover their homeland from Franco. Now, this is going to take place in a deck building fashion where you're going to be using your cards that are split in half and trying to decide when is the appropriate moment to reveal them. When you reveal them, you'll get some sort of special ability and power that's way better than the rest of your abilities, but then they are removed for the rest of the game. So you have to use your cards wisely to complete your different missions and hopefully reclaim that homeland. Now, this entire experience feels that you are in a graphic novel. It reminds me of reading something like Mouse or some historically based graphic novel that I had read in school. It's hard to put into words the nostalgia that I feel for this game, but I think it's one that you need to give a try, particularly if you like that graphic novel style artwork. It's a wonderful solo game that tells the story through a campaign book of the Spanish Marquis and Franco and the situation that occurred there, so it has historical context that is brought to life through amazing artwork. So that is my number 6, Resist. My number 5 goes to ISS Vanguard. We have a huge artist team here: Piotr Gacek, Patrick Jedrasek, Ewa Labak, and Dominic Mayer. ISS Vanguard tells the story of the Vanguard. This is a huge spaceship that has been assembled with all of the different minds of Earth who have found this alien technology that is able to propel them into the stars. You're going to be exploring different areas around the universe, and on these areas you're going to have 2 phases. You'll have a planet phase where you actually take your characters, put them onto the planets and interact, and then you'll have a shipbook phase where you're able to manage your different resources and crew. I'm not going to get into any spoilers of this game, but ISS Vanguard offers a world that is lived in, and you can see that there are so many different things that could be possible in space. Not only does it have incredible artwork, but the game features painted miniatures, if you did the Sundrop edition, that are multicolored, that not only bring to life the different characters in the game, but also help with the actual playing of the game. The artwork comes in forms of cards, the planet boards themselves that you'll be flipping out, different characters and miniatures that will be interacting, and then standees that retain the artwork into the game. I love the experience of ISS Vanguard, this world that it puts me me into, and the possibilities of space and this sci-fi genre in general. You very much feel like you are going to these different planets as they have completely different tones, but they still have this uniting factor of these beautiful vistas and this top-down perspective of the planets that you are visiting. I think that if you like space-themed games, you're going to love ISS Vanguard, and the artwork in the game delivers the entire experience for sure. So that's my number 5, ISS Vanguard. What an amazing team to put together such a beautiful production. My number 4 goes to Mythic Mischief. Now, there's no artist credited on BGG, but in the rulebook here, it does tell us that Amin Farah and Hale Kazemi are responsible for creating the art in this amazing universe. In Mythic Mischief, you play as mythics who, in a Monsters University sort of style, you are going to school and you have these friendly competitions in the school library. It's your job to push your other mythic friends into the way of the Tomekeeper while staying out of the path yourself. You're racing to a certain number of points, and once you've reached that, you win. It's an abstract game at its heart, but the theme comes out in the special abilities of the characters. Now, the world of Mythic Mischief is this soft tone with so many different colors that bring out the different characters. Each faction has their own color scheme, but every character is their own unique person. You'll have a description in the rulebook of the different characters and how they work, and their backstories onto why their attire looks the way that it does. Every character is worth reading about. They're so much fun, and it's an awesome universe to be in. Not only does this artwork show up in the different characters and their portraits, but it's also in the library itself, in the Tomekeeper, and then, of course, on the player boards of the characters. The graphic design is clear and clean. You're able to understand what you're reading, and each faction brings this thematic flair to it. On top of this, very similar to Endless Winter, there's also a soundtrack that you can find. It's on Spotify for Mythic Mischief. It only has a couple of the characters right now, but it feels like something that these different characters would be creating. I hope that they release more of the tracks for the different factions, because this is a banger. I'm telling you, I've put these onto Halloween playlists, and I think that you'll enjoy them too. Once again, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find the details for this soundtrack, because I think if you don't know about it, you got to make sure that you're playing this while you are playing the game. So that is my number 4, Mythic Mischief. My number 3 goes to Townsfolk Tussle. Artists Stephen Lewis, Tony Mayer, and Rachel Rusk. This puts you in the town of Eureka Springs as the sheriff has just died. It's up to you to find out who's going to be the next sheriff, and you're going to determine this through taking on a bunch of ruffians. As you can see, this artwork is a classic cartoon style, but you'll be going from boss battle to boss battle, acquiring items in a cartoon fashion. Every single item has a bit of flavor and flair. Each character has a backstory similar to something like Mythic Mischief, where they're going to tell you exactly what they're doing here and what's at stake for them becoming the sheriff. But not only does the artwork seem cartoony in practice, but you are also going to have miniatures that reflect the cartoony artwork. They're retaining these curved shapes, and if they are painted, oh my gosh, they look amazing. This has also done an awesome job with introducing this amazing stretch goal, and it's one of my favorite things that you can do as a stretch goal now, is if they reach certain thresholds, they actually added art to all of the event cards. For example, Out Hot Issues would have just had the text, but now you could definitely see that somebody is struggling on the seat. But I love the concept of just adding additional art to increase the quality of a game. But the game itself is colorful and beautiful. Each of the ruffians have their own unique flair and flavor. The writing is also thematic, and I think the entire package here is thematic to the T. Townsfolk Tussle excels at pairing cartoonish artwork with crude humor at times, and I think it's a world that you're going to want to be in more and more. So that is number 3, Townsfolk Tussle. My number 2 goes to Vagrantsong. Artist Win My Diem. Vagrantsong has you playing as train hoppers aboard a spirit train as you are trying to restore the humanity to the different spirits, these haints that you come across, as well as fulfilling a variety of objectives from scenario to scenario. The game itself has you playing as these characters using an action coin system to resolve your different actions on the board, but also the enemies are going to be using this bindle bag system where not only are you going to pull items from it and get events, but the characters characters are going to react differently based on the different scenarios you play in. The game itself is a complete package, but the art is what brings this game to life. One thing that's a major standout here is that the game uses standees instead of miniatures that retain the artwork. They have this ethereal presence about them where you're able to see the glow of the spirits that you're facing against, and some of them are terrifying, particularly this floppy man. I honestly get a little creeped out by some of the spirits that they've introduced. That doesn't stop here, though. The game also features these large pull-out sheets, essentially. They're double-paged artworks that will explain the scenarios that you find yourself in, and you can't help but find them something that you'll be staring at and enjoying. I love that it looks like it's almost this pencil work or watercolor. I can't put my finger on why I enjoy this so much, but it's a bridge between something that we saw in something like Townsfolk Tussle, but I feel like this one has just that much more care put into it, and you've got these large splays of artwork too that show how much effort and work has been put in. I love the world of Vagrantsong. I love the fact that they chose to go in all of these different directions with the artwork, but it's united by this overall tone that I think is incredible. Vagrantsong is one of the best games on the market right now, and I can't recommend it enough, particularly for this theme, the experience, and the overall gameplay. So that's number 2, Vagrantsong, my second favorite artwork. So what possibly could be number 1? And my number 1 has to go to Spires and Hildegard. And the artist here is Diego Frias, who worked personally with the designer Greg Favreau to bring to life this unique vision for a storytelling experience. In Spires and Hildegard, you play as Hildegard, a messenger who has a quest to deliver a package. I'm not going to get into any spoilers here, but you live in this autumnal feeling of a world as you go on your adventure, going to the different landscapes, going from town to town, from land, air to sea. You'll see it all in Hildegard. The characters have this orange tone, and every single card that features artwork is generally going to push some of the text to the side so you can enjoy the artwork that's present here. These crows, the scarecrow, you'll get to see what the game is offering. It is a feast for the eyes. I love how present the artwork is in this game, where on the back of a lot of the cards, there will actually be artwork that hints as to what could potentially be on the other side. For example, in the fishing here, you have her actually going out onto her boat, and it ties right into one of those fishing spots where you're going to be putting your bait on. In addition, some of the cards that you can interact with will create these large panoramas, and as you explore, you'll reveal them and be able to see what's underneath. As I said before, I'm not going to get into any spoilers here, but every time you reveal a card, it's going to feature some form of artwork on it. Whether it be big or small, it's going to be something that you are going to treasure. The world of Hildegard is one that I want to live in. It's one that I want to see more of, and it's just a game that I have fallen in love with, this entire setting and world. Spires and Hildegard has by far the best artwork, just the entire tone of it. It makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel warm. I want to be in this cozy world of Spires and Hildegard. So that is my number 1, Spires and Hildegard, the best board game artwork from 2022. And that's the list. Those are my top 10 favorite art in board games from 2022. I'm curious to hear what you think of this list. This year had so many amazing pieces. Now or Never was another one that barely missed this list. Oh, so many awesome pieces. This is one of my favorite things about gaming in general, is the fact that the art just keeps getting better, and these are all worlds that I want to spend more time in. What are your favorite art from 2022? Is it not just artwork, but also music, maybe some narration, the reading? I love the story in Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. That's been some of my favorite things, to hear the narration for that. I'm curious to hear what you think, but thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.